All right, hope you guys are having a good one. Let's see if there's any chat. No comments yet. All right, so I was doing this mostly to get like a quick video in to really show people what I am doing here for anybody that is interested in where I'm going with the Zool project for 2024, which is in a more improvisational direction. Same kind of music, but doing it live. So eventually, what's up, Desire to Learn? Glad you're here. Eventually, we'll do more of the stuff that's on the album, but we'll be doing it live. Let me adjust my camera real quick because it seems like it's pretty dim on my screen. So let me just mess with that real quick. Oh, all right. Now it doesn't seem as dim. Maybe because my monitor stopped dimming. We can turn the exposure up just a bit so we can kind of see what we're doing a little bit better here. Okay. Should be good. Okay. Sorry. Now you can see me. All right. So let me show you what I'm doing right here. So let me find a way that I can get Ableton here in a document or like on the screen here so we can see it. Maybe I could slide it over here. Line it up on this monitor here. See how that looks. All right. Okay, so now you can see my document. This is Ableton Live, so I might actually, hold on, let me put myself down in the corner so I'm not covering up too much stuff. Okay, there we go. All right, so now you can see this document. This is Ableton Live 12, which is what I just got this version. Most of the stuff on the channel is Live 11. If you see this weird device over here, this is the Ableton Push. This is probably my favorite piece of gear besides my guitars. And it's a great at doing several different things, which I will show you how I use it. So one thing is that these weird colored lights. Maybe I can get a little bit slightly better camera angle for the colored lights. The colored lights they show a couple of things. Basically, you can use them to cue up a track. So I've recorded that live, and then it'll loop it, so I can play it back, right? And I can bring up another one along with it, and I can bring up another one. I didn't record that many loops for that little piece that I improvised at the beginning here, and I could turn them off here. Hold it down here and you could turn on recording. Cut on my pinky from working in the yard earlier. Kind of feels weird. But yeah, that's the idea. Whatever kind of stuff you want to do. So then I can turn off that stuff. So that makes it really easy to operate the software. But what's going on here is that you can see these clips are all in the software as well. And so I have a bunch of different tracks here that I can use to do whatever. I even have a drum track here if I wanted to like do drums. And I can play in a drum track or anything. I even do some crazy stuff like this. Turn on repeat. We'll turn on 16th note. You can do like some metal. You can do all kinds of weird stuff with that. So anyway, it's a great piece of gear. I like to use it to operate the software. This one also will work standalone on its own. It's a cool piece of gear. Ableton does not pay me to say that, by the way. But what I wanted to do is show you kind of what maybe like a document that I would use to do all this looping looks like for anybody that wants to use that for their own music and to do their own thing with it. The software, if you don't have it, it's probably not for everyone. I really like it. It's definitely my favorite DAW to use at this point in time because I can perform live with it, but I can also press tab and here's like your more kind of standard, your standard view of, you're going to record something in. So I can like record in, a clean sound and, record it in. There it goes. I'll record it. And you can even record in, I can cue in a little backing track here, and it'll start recording it in your regular view. So you can use this to take pre-recorded loops that you've done and like do a fully arranged recorded piece with them. But you could also just like use it to record live performances, which is what I often did. I actually didn't record this one except on the video, so that's how that one is. Anyway, let me go through some of the tracks and I'll show you what is going on them. If you're wondering about how I'm getting a lot of guitar sounds, it has a lot to do with the signal chain that I'm using. It's all a virtual signal chain, okay? So if you're watching another ambient guitar channel, you may notice that they have like a crazy big pedal board, okay? So that's cool. People like big pedal boards. That's their thing. They like pedal boards, and I don't blame them. They look cool. My pedal board, you can't see it. It's really simple. It's a volume pedal. It's a volume pedal and then a couple of pedals to trigger stuff in the software right now. Now I have a bigger pedal board like kind of behind me, which you probably can't see because it's dark in here, that has like a bunch more MIDI switches, but they're all things for controlling the software. I don't use like compressor pedals. I don't use, the only pedal that I use on the floor is a volume pedal. It's like this one. So if you're getting an Ernie Ball VP Junior, that's close to what I'm using. I am actually using an Ernie Ball pedal, but it's a different pot value. This one is a 250k ohm value pot, which I'm not sure if you can see. I can crank up the lights in here a little bit. Make sure we can actually see what the heck I'm showing you guys. All right. So yeah, it's a Ernie Ball VP Junior. Okay, volume pedal junior. I have mine is bigger. It's just called the Ernie Ball pedal, and it's a stereo 25k ohm pedal. That has to do with the impedance of the pot that's in here. I actually like a 25k ohm pot, both for active and passive pickups. I use active pickups in most of my guitars, so these are active EMGs, and they have a 25k ohm pots in them for their impedance. So the 25k ohm pot in the volume pedal matches that, but even when I plug regular high gain pickups into it, the 25k ohm pot pedal I like better because of the sort of incline that it does. Like the smooth gradation of the volume is better than versus a 25k or 250k ohm pot. It feels a lot smoother. It has a smoother kind of sweep to it. You can also use an active volume pedal like the, I have one over here, the Morley Little Alligator. There's a Morley 2020 pedal now that's probably going to do the same thing. So-called optical pedal, and that works great as well. But it requires an external power source or, like a battery. So I end up really just preferring the 25k ohm passive pedal for all of my stuff. I've gone through a bunch of different volume pedals and different value pots. I like the 25k ohm pot pedal the best. That's what I like to use. That's my preference for. Okay. in case anybody was wondering about that. So let's take a look at a couple of the tracks that I have set up here. Rather than doing a document from scratch, I thought it'd be just like, look at the one that I just used, and I've used this for a couple of different performances. There's 3 different synths that I can use. I can always use more. Like, you can use the Ableton to kind of track around and select different tracks to do. So when I did that rain piece, which was like almost an hour long, there's like 16 tracks, and I'm just going through them. I'm moving from left to right through all these tracks that I constructed. So anyway, yeah, let's take a look at some of the guitar stuff, because that's what people want to look at. So let's take the first one, which is the clean channel. I'm going to actually move myself again so you can see the entire signal chain here. All right. So yeah, the signal chain on the floor, just to reiterate, it's just my guitar into a volume pedal into my interface. That's it. I don't use a bunch of crazy pedals, and personally, I don't see the need for them when I'm going to be using the software to do all the looping. I don't need a crazy big pedal board to shape my sound before it goes into the interface. I can do all that afterwards. Okay. The only thing I might add is maybe a compressor pedal before the volume pedal, but I don't really need that. Like, I tend to have pretty high output guitars. That don't need it. I can kind of crank the boosts on them and get whatever sounds I want. Getting a little fuzzy buzz here. I'm not sure what that's about. My batteries might actually be running out, which is a possibility. But anyway, this is a clean sound. I think that's what it was. I think they're dead. Wait. Yeah, the batteries are dying. That's why I'm losing sound. All right, I have a weird battery setup. I have a 24-volt battery setup in this guitar. It's very different from what most people tend to do with this. So again, I do weird things. I do weird things with this to get it to be right. Okay. Yeah, I do kind of weird things. All right, so let's take a look at the chain, though. I can always just switch guitars out so you can hear it not be distorted. So I have a tuner. That's just, as you can guess, for tuning. I actually didn't tune this guitar before I started playing. It just comes off the wall pretty in tune. This is a regular soft tube amp. Now, if I wanted to, I could use Amplitude, which is good. It's a good option if you don't want to use the built-in Ableton ones, but I'm just showing you what I use. I like the built-in Ableton ones because they're cleaner. It's not necessary to use the extra overhead of a soft tube, or not a soft tube. These ones are made by Soft Tube. That's the company that makes them. They come free with Ableton software. So the soft tube ones have a little bit less processor overhead. Not that it matters because I have like a very overbuilt PC that I play on, but I do notice that there's sometimes a little bit more audio lag with with Amplitude. So that's why I end up not end up using it for a lot of live stuff. And that stuff comes built in with this. So if I ever use like the standalone push, I can just all the amp settings that I know are on there. Pretty basic setting for clean, gains maybe 7, and then a little bit more mid range, and then I can always crank up the mid range on my guitar. I have a special EQ for that. Yeah, the battery's dying. So rather than change the batteries, I'm going to change guitars real quick. Take off the old hat. All right, there we go. You switch to the Parker. All right, we're back. See, I still like the 25K pot, even though technically these are passive pickups. So from there, because it's a really clean amp sound, you can get all your different sounds that you like of the guitar. I like this guitar because it has an acoustic pickup in it too. You know, you can do a lot of stuff with it. Good stuff. And I can even blend them. All right, so yeah, that's my basic setup for the amp, which you can see right here. You can, of course, play with it as much as you want. Of course, you want it dry wet, 100%. You don't want clean sound unless you're running an instrument that you want to have some sort of clean sound from it. Then it goes straight into a delay. This is just a really basic delay. That's only about 20% wet dry for this, and about 46% on the feedback. After that is reverb. Okay, so this is a pretty basic signal chain, amp into an effects loop, delay, then reverb. So this is a spring reverb. It gets that kind of classic Fender sound. I'm always trying to catch the sound of my old Fender amp, which I really wish I'd never sold because it's such a unique sound for that amp. This cable doesn't want to play nice with this guitar. And my chair's falling down too. Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties. Where does technical difficulties go? Sounds weird on a clean channel like that. Yep. And then a speaker cabinet emulator. And this is just a 212, so it sounds like a Fender Twin. So basically this whole setup is to make it sound like a Fender Twin, which it more or less does. That's a basic clean. I use that for most of the guitar solos because it's pretty clean. Next we'll look at, I have two swell channels here. So the swells are way more echoey, as you can tell. And what I use these for is to swell with my volume pedal, which you can't see. Okay. So same basic idea. I have a delay going before the amp in this case, and it's just a really slight delay, dotted eighth note delay. In this case, it's fixed to the tempo for the entire document. And so you can have it either be time or you can have it be synced with the document. So I have it synced with the document into an amp. This is the different one. This is a blues amp rather than being a clean amp. This has a slightly bit more drive. And again, I have the mid-range turned up a bit. So you can get a good Then we have another delay. In this case, it's a filter delay, if you look at this one. So the filter delay, we have 3 different delay amounts, okay? These are based on, I think, 8th notes, I think. So 3, the 3rd 8th note, or actually 16th notes. The 3rd 16th note, 5th 16th note, the 6th 16th note. And then you can have a filter on each of these and a panning. So one's panned all the way left, one's panned all the way right, one's in the center. Different feedback on each one, about 50%. And then the dry volume we want at max because we don't want to lose that dry signal. But we want these to be kind of about under, like maybe 10 dB. In this case, I think I'm having 8, 9 dB. You can even change these filters to change the sound of each of those repeats that you're doing on the delay to just give it more volume, more presence, make it feel like it's in a real place. I appreciate that people think it sounds like Diablo. It doesn't to me, but I think because people are hearing like that surf sound, it kind of reminds people of Tristram because there's some, there's some stuff like that. After this, I have a saturator. This is just a basic out-of-the-box saturator from Ableton, hot tubes. Maybe you can hear the difference. We'll turn it off. You can hear that it really, again, pushes those mid-ranges up a little bit. 1.47 kilohertz, that's going to be upper mids. So that's where we're kind of saturating is the upper mids. And that gives it a lot of definition and also a lot of power for what you're doing. What you want, because you're doing these swells, right? You're coming from 0 to volume. You want a little bit of extra in that range, but you can always adjust that, make it darker or brighter to your desire. Then I have that same Spring Parade reverb sound, a little bit wetter on that. You can do a lot of playing around with the stuff that's just in the software to get whatever kind of sounds you want. And another 212 speaker. In this case, I think I used on the clean, I used the condenser. In this one, it's a dynamic, so it's a little, it feels a little closer on the speaker. And I'll talk about all these sends in a minute. So the Swells 2 is the same thing. It's just panned to the right. So the Swells 1 is panned to the left. The Swells 2 is panned to the right. Give the whole document a little more dimension. The last one is drone. So we'll talk about the signal channel and drone. What's really cool about Ableton is I can have as many signal chains as I have tracks. So I can do different amps, different signal chains, different delay on every single track to really separate out the voices. It's super, super versatile in that sense. It's just that single chord. The rest is distinctly you. Diablo hardly owns that chord. It's a. In case anyone's wondering what this chord is, I used it I used it a lot in Lux, which was a song I did some years ago that people really like, which has that surf chord sound. And what's cool about it, here we go. Crank up the. Mix it up. It's a good part of the sound. I forget we're on a really super reverby track. What's cool about that song, it's an A minor, but no third. So there's no C in it. And instead we have the ninth, B. And we can even get some. Now that one has the C, but we could put a D in instead. And that's great because that third, we don't really know if it's. There we go. Sorry. This cable and this guitar don't like to play nice for some reason. I'm going to get a different curly guitar cable or build a new one. This one's from the 70s. I resurrected it by repairing it. You can't tell if it's major or minor. Could be major, could be minor. But usually we can kind of tell. You might get a C major 7 chord, F major 7, A9. Cool chord. Anyway, let's take a look at the drone signal chain. So this one, if I were to just play the note, this is like tons of delay, tons of reverb on this track, okay? And the point here is what I'll do with this is create this washing kind of keyboardy drone sound where when I use the volume pedal to kind of knock the edges off, knock the attacks off, get this sort of just kind of celestial sounding spacey reverb. So this one I have a really basic delay here. Left and right are almost the same, but just a little bit different and a lot of feedback. That's how we start with this. This is pretty wet. It goes directly into a filter delay. The filter delay is set up so that each voice really has a strong filter on it. There's a lot of feedback. The dry is dialed back a little bit so that we're losing a lot of the edge of the sound, like where the attack is. We just don't want to hear the attack for the drone. And the volume's pretty high on these. Then we finally get the amp, and I'm using the blues amp again because that's going to saturate this a little bit more. You can actually use a much higher gain amp. Let me let you hear what it sounds like. We're going to put it on this is a Mesa Boogie dual rec, and it sounds like my dual rec in the other room, but sounds pretty cool. So you can get some really cool sounds of that. Blues is going to be, you can do a boost, which will also saturate. And when we record that, that kind of just gives us this kind of washing harmonic background. I'll play a couple chords. I'll play them all as single notes so that the harmony kind of goes in and out of itself all the time. It just creates like this complex washy harmony behind whatever you want to do. So I can just like record a little bit with that. Let me just record something. Let me do something cool with like the lead sound, and I'll show you something fun. Mostly in C. And I'll keep going there. Kind of create some harmonic background, and then we can come over here. Yeah, it's a cool game. Thanks. It's fascinating to learn more about all this music stuff. I have no training in this, so this is pulling the veil away in a certain manner. Yeah, it's just showing how all this works. So we're adding just a lot of stuff to the sound, and we can even create like a high gain swell sound. So let's do that. Let's put the Mesa sound on for this, and we'll create some. Yeah, so you can create some really interesting textures just by changing like a couple things around, you know. I'm gonna go ahead and put a pause on that. So that's the drone, right? So you can create this kind of droney wash that's gonna back up whatever you want. And you kind of put it in whatever key area you want to work in. In this case, for this one, I did C, and then I moved to A minor kind of slowly. So that's a thing that I do in my longer pieces. I will move key areas. So I'll start in, say, C, and I'll go to E minor, and then I'll maybe go to A minor, or I'll go C to A minor, and then I'll go from like A minor to F major. So we start adding a flat in, and then we can go from F to something else. We can go to like B flat, you know, and go to just a really different key area as we do it. So if you listen to the piece Rain goes through 3 different key areas, and then like I think 6 or 12 progressions, and the progressions layer on top of each other so that you get like I'll do, say, like a C major chord, and then I'll layer on top of it something that's playing E minor. And then when we fade away the C major, we've kind of slowly changed from a C major to a C major 7 to an E minor, which is a kind of an interesting harmonic sound. It's just something that I've just been doing with this more ambient focus stuff, is a slow transition from one tonal area to another tonal area, rather than, you know, kind of setting something up where we're playing in C, and then we like see it here at D7, and we go to G, and then we're in G. We can do stuff like that all day, you know, go to a G major sound from C. That's a traditional way of changing keys. Do that 5 of 5 sound and go to like 7, 5 of 5 to, then you're in G. Anyway, you could do that. But I kind of like things kind of slowly blending away. I think it creates a very just pleasant and placid sound, which is a lot of what I've been going for with this current round of stuff. So that's all the guitar stuff. Oh, super clean. So this one's labeled super clean. This is actually for acoustic pickups, but I can actually emulate an acoustic with my EMGs by changing the EQ so that it just kind of duplicates an acoustic. In this case, I'll just turn on my acoustic pickup and you get the sound. Kind of worship band sound. A lot of times I'll blend it a little bit with the electric pickup, get a little more kind of meat to it, get a little more bass when we blend it with the magnetic pickups. And something that I'm always trying to do here. Or we can just do kind of dial the highs off on the guitar. Anyway, let me show you what I do with this. There's no amp on this one, so this one is just straight into the interface. And because there's a piezo pickup, an acoustic guitar pickup in this bridge, it just will work. But I do a little bit of EQ. So there is a basic delay like I have on the other channels. And then for this, I just use the stock acoustic guitar EQ that came with Ableton. This is just an 8-band EQ. We're using 3 bands, and if I want to, I can actually pump the bass up a little bit because looking at the spectrums, you can see the high end is still there, and we may even we can add a 4th one that just will give us a little bit of mid-range here, you know. Yeah, in context, it's convincing enough. It's the same kind of pickup your guy in the worship band would be using on his guitar. He's running a piezo pickup under the saddles, and so this one's just under electric guitar saddles. So you don't really get the sound of a true acoustic guitar out of a piezo pickup. I hate to break it to you guys. It's emulating it, and then it looks like an acoustic guitar, and you think that's what an acoustic guitar sounds like, till you actually go and unplug one, and you're like, well, it sounds a lot better unplugged. Because the pickup is really just kind of emulating whatever you got going on there. But anyway, that's an EQ I use. We can give it just a little bit more mid-range if we want. You know, you can play around with that. The main thing is you kind of want to dip around 500 because that is where the like strong mid-range of an electric guitar comes in, and you want to kind of back that out a little bit. Piezos tend to be really strong in mids, so especially upper mids. So it may be worthwhile to even dial the tone off on your guitar a little bit. A lot of acoustic guitars, if you're using those, will have like a little EQ on them on the top. You can just dial that high off just a bit, so it's not quite as high spiky. All right. So anyway, yeah, that's that. And then we have a plate reverb because I just wanted something different on this sound. I really wanted it to stand out. Really wanted to sound. Whoops. It's convincing enough. And then again, I have another saturator here, a hot tube saturator. With that mid-range, we want a little strong mid-range with that. So anyway, that's all the guitar sounds for what I used on that piece. And I'll use variants of those. Sometimes you can I'll use amplitude if I want like a more complex amp sound, especially with high gain. In the context of like a bunch of tracks, like 8 guitar tracks, you just don't need that much gain. It's just not that important. You don't need like 5 different, cabinets to like get your wall of amp sound like you're doing Swedish death metal. It's just not important because there's the frequencies are so saturated with music like this. You just don't need to worry about it. But sometimes I'll just switch things out. So I'll maybe have one of the swells be like a lead guitar sound, and let me turn it on. We can even dial it down a little bit. I may just turn the volume down. There we go. So. Really cool sound. All right. Now let's talk about these sins. These sins are going over to these tracks on the right-hand side of the screen, if you can see those. So there's a reverb and a delay. Okay. So for the reverb, it's just stock reverb. I didn't even change that much stuff on it. I think it's just the default reverb. It sounds fine. I use it on this. This is to just give more space to stuff. So as you crank up the reverb on this, it just will add the sound from all of these tracks into the reverb track, which then goes into the main mix, which you guys are hearing. So just gives it a little more of a space. You could do something fancy. You could do like a cathedral space, and I've done that. I've done. I'll open up the document for the Rain project I did, and that one has it uses some Max instruments to make reverb. So like the reverb amount is random all the time. It's like randomly going up and down. It's really weird. But it creates just a constant feeling of like the reverb is, things are in a space and the space is moving in some cases with something like that. But in this case, just add some space. The delay is a filter delay. So this is a stock delay. It sounds fine, but I'm using that stock delay on like every track, very close to this. So in this case, we want 0 dry. This is a filter delay, and the filter is all over the place. This creates just anything is going to get kind of pulled apart, and to get those sort of delays that happen. If you want to get really crazy, you can feed the delay into your reverb, or you can make a third send. I'll show you how to make that. Really easy. You go to Insert Return Track, and then you can have like some other kind of sound that you want there. You know, one of the things I'll do, let me see if I have it here. Plugins. Amplitude 5. So I will put Amplitude on a return track, and I'll let you guys hear what this sounds like, because this is something I'll do, and it's pretty fun. You can get some cool stuff going. Let's see if it crashes my document. If it does, because I haven't tried it in Live 12 yet. Nope, it works. It just was like, I need to hiccup for a bit. All right, Amplitude. So what we're going to do with Amplitude is I'm going to not use an amp. Now, you could create like a unified return amp to like give everything a glued together amp sound, which is kind of fun, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is we are going to create a DI, and in the DI, we're going to create some effects. So I'm not going to, there we go. Okay. So we're going to find our effects pedals, and we're going to go down here to X space, and we're going to put it right here. X space, we're going to edit it. We're going to create, there's a bunch of different things here. There's shimmer. We could just use shimmer 1, shimmer 2. Here we go. Blue Day. This is a good little preset, and we can play with this. And then from here in the mixer, we're going to find the cabinets, and we're just going to turn those off. So we're just going to use the DI. That's it. And no room, just the DI. That's what we want. So we're using this to get access to this weird reverb that's on here called Blue Day. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solo that, and I'm going to find my track here, and I'm going to crank up number C so you can hear what it sounds like. Number C, letter C. I'll crank it all the way up. So we just get this really weird. Very weird. So we can blend that in too, to what we want. So if we can have like multiple reverbs, and then we can actually send that to, instead of main, we'll send it to, we'll go sends only, and we'll send it to the reverb. And we can even send a little bit to delay. And so then you get something really weird here. We won't hear it unless we also solo this. It's not going to work today. Has a cool shimmer on it. And if we want to change that, we can just open this guy up and find this guy and see what we want to do here. Maybe we want to do deep, enigma, whichever one you think is cool. So I like Blue Day. I think it sounds cool. Mix up to 100%. Forgot that part. All right, let's hear what that sounds like in context. We wouldn't have that cranked all the way, but it would sound like in context. Personally, I think it would sound really cool on the drone. We're going to put the drone back to blues here and really crank that up there. Yeah, it's cool. All right, so that's the setup for this. Let's take a quick look at the synths because these are not that important. I just throw some in for some fun. We can change the scale. Right now we're in, what are we in? A flat minor. I'm going to change it to C major. C major. All right. I think I'll do the next piece in like E minor. So I'm actually going to, I can set the scale to whatever I want. Or I can do chromatic. So I'll do E minor. And then we'll keep playing E minor on the guitar. All right. So I could play it here or I could play it here. It doesn't change the scale on the keyboard. So I have to actually know my scales if I'm going to play on the keyboard, right? Harmonic minor. But I could play the parts on this keyboard. Or I could play them here. What's cool about this is it has MPE. It's an instrument in of its own right. So I just find synth sounds before I begin an improv that I just like. I like this one. It's called Misty Bells. Come on. There it is. I like it, so I'll use it for a lot of stuff. Reminds me of dungeon synth kind of stuff. It's like a brass sound. If I want something different, let me change to something different. We'll go to sounds. Let's do MPE enabled. Let's add the let's do a harp. It'll just be something different. And if I want to play in a part, I'm actually going to delete all the parts I recorded already with my battery dying on my main guitar. Delete all those. I'm going to record a part. So I'm going to come back over here to this one. And let's record something. I'm going to use a foot switch to record it. Let's hear our tempo. This is, you might hear it through the mic. Might want a little slower. Let's go back to 66. Let's record something. Here we go. 1, 3, 4. I use the foot switch to trigger the loop, okay? Now I have a cool sound going. I'm gonna go over to my clean sound and maybe just play something kind of different. Dang, cable's coming out. Make sure I'm in tune. Pretty much in tune. Feels out of tune. It's sounding out of tune to me. I wonder if there's like some sort of I can set it to E minor. take a look at the piano roll. I might have done something weird here. Yeah, it's in, that's weird. Yeah, it's in, it's a half step off. It's a half step off for some reason. That's really weird. Why is it on that? Should be on E. It's on A flat for some reason. All right. Well, we'll just record that part again. Yeah, that's weird. E. There we go. If all else fails, just play it on the regular keyboard, you know? Okay, yeah, sounds cool. I might buy one of these touchpads for playing around. Hopefully it works with FL Studio. So this one does not work with FL Studio. So this only works with Ableton. If you're going to use Fruity Loops, I recommend you could use the Novation Launchpad if you like touchpads. It won't have MPE support. The other one I recommend is the Roly makes one. It's in the keyboard format. So if you play piano, it's really familiar. And that one actually has, like, you could slide on the pads and stuff. Like this one, you can do vibrato, slides. You can do all kinds of things with this one. Let's try that again. I'm going to record here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. And we can actually quantize that. So it'll make everything like right in time. We'll do some dungeon synth because that'll be fun. Let's go over to this one. I'll record something with this. Make some cool sounds of this. Let's turn up the track volume a bit. I can also do the track volumes over here if I want to. Yeah, make some dungeon synth, right? Yeah, this is out of tune now. Hold on. Out of tune. Sorry, this is a new version of the software that I haven't used before. Let me take a look at what's going on here. Yeah, once it now we're not in. It says we're in E. Does that sound right? It's feeling really out of tune for some reason. You get the idea. You get the idea. My tuner says I'm right in tune. There's some feature that I haven't detected that's like altering the tuning. It kept changing the key. It's kind of funny. Yeah. Yeah. So we can make some dungeon synth. And so you can do whatever you want with it. You know, it's pretty cool. That's why I love this piece of gear. So there's 3 things you do with this piece of gear. You can manage the loops, which is like what I do a lot with it with guitar. You can play notes in directly. You can play them in over here too. But you get this kind of, you can do some slides. Very dungeon synthy, right? And then you can alter the instrument. So you can play with, you can change a lot of this. Change the sound here. Change our filter here. Gonna darken it up. Low pass filter. And you can crank up the reverb and trim too. Vibrato, turn it down a bit. Maybe turn it off. Do all that fun stuff. Very fun, very fun, very fun. So I can do all that stuff. And so anyway, yep, makes it really convenient and easy to do all those things. And the last thing you can do with it is you can do drum machine stuff. So if we wanted to do like we could add a little drums or something in here. Doing each. Want it to be fast. Like that. 1, 2. it's really standard backbeat. Standard backbeat. Kind of cool. Got a couple of cymbal hits in randomly here.
play some different riffs.
Yeah, you can mess around with this stuff, right? You can even quantize that riff. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, you could do like lots of stuff. You could do something completely different with everything that's there. So anyway, some different stuff. I'm about out of time. I think it's time for dinner. So I'm gonna play something really short, I think, to play it out, and then I'll see you next time. Just a little look into kind of what I use to do this. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just leave this document open as I work or as I do the next part here. So let's clear this stuff out, and I'm gonna go back to like a clean sound. And then we'll do it from there, okay?